I often get asked how much Latin you need to learn before law school. The short answer is none, but you still need to learn a de minimis amount, meaning a small amount, during law school. So today I will discuss how Latin is used in the law and what resources you can use to understand important phrases like res ipsa loquitur, let the thing speak for itself, res judicata, the judgment is final, mens rea, the guilty mind, and de minimis non curat lex, the law does not deal with trifles. Make sure to watch the entire video where at the end I share a bonus law fact about the United States Senator who was married to 2 women at the same time. Hello Lawlings, this is Professor Bo Bias. Whether you are in a common law country, like the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, or Australia, or a civil law jurisdiction like South Africa, Germany, and Mexico, most of our legal systems still have a strong Latin influence based on their medieval roots. In common law countries, the Latin derives from the Norman conquest of England in 1066. In civil law countries, from Roman Emperor Justinian's Corpus Juris Civilis. Every year there is less and less Latin used in the law, but you still need to learn a few important Latin phrases. You do not need to learn Latin grammar or vocabulary. So once you memorize a few basic terms, you're set. That being said, when you read older cases, you will see much more Latin. This is because until the early 20th century, educated people were all required to learn Latin and Greek in primary school. By the time I took Latin in high school, at a school with over 1,000 students, there were less than 20 of us in that Latin class. By the way, for those of you that took Latin, don't forget that Gallia est omnis divisa in parte tres. Just a bit of Latin humor. The good thing is that there are several great resources for picking up key Latin phrases. I still use a general legal dictionary, which I find provides a thorough definition for these important phrases. But there are specialized legal Latin dictionaries for the more obscure terms. Another option is using a search engine. Regardless of which resource you use, make sure you look up Latin phrases when you see them rather than ignoring them. When I assign a case with a Latin phrase, I make sure to call on a student in class and ask them to define it. I not only want to know what the phrase means, but I also ask them how it is translated. Take, for example, the Latin term respondeat superior. Students almost always explain that the term means that an employer is liable for the torts of their employees. That's correct. But when I ask them to translate the term, few ever tell me what it means, which is let the superior answer. There is one practical Latin issue you need to be concerned about. On an exam, some students use Latin phrases incorrectly, which can lower your exam score. In torts, for example, a significant number of students somehow reverse the phrases res ipsa loquitur and negligence per se. That causes a lower grade on the exam. And then there are Latin spelling errors, which can be awkward. For example, in some situations, a person's yearly salary is important in answering the question. In Latin, the word for yearly is per annum, A-N-N-U-M. Unfortunately, some students write this down as per annum, A-N-U-M, which is not how most people want their paychecks. Now, for the bonus law fact. Penoria v. Neff is a landmark 1878 United States Supreme Court case that most American law students read during their first week of law school. An interesting part of the backstory involves Neff's lawyer, John Michell. Michell was initially a school teacher by the name of John Hipple, who was forced to marry a 15-year-old student he had seduced. After a few years of marriage, he abandons his wife, travels 2,500 miles or 4,000 kilometers with a new lover. He then abandons the second woman when she gets sick. And finally changes his name to John Michell when he moves to Oregon. He was a successful lawyer and married someone from an important Oregon family. While running for the United States Senate, a newspaper reported that he was still married to the woman he had abandoned years earlier, legally making him a bigamist. He won the election and became a United States Senator for the state of Oregon. I'm reminded about this case whenever someone starts talking about the good old days when politics were better than they are today. New videos every other Wednesday, so please share the video and hit the subscribe and bell button so you can become a better student and a better lawyer.